What's up? What's happening, y'all? And welcome back to Working Class Traders, man. Y'all already know before we get started, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video because ultimately it's going to help the channel grow, man. And you already know, man. Come on, give us leave some comments, hit us up, go on and support. Support is free, right? But what I wanted to get on here real quick and talk about the difference between um trading funded with Apex and traded, well, or the evaluation. Well, first we're going to talk about the evaluation, and that's what this video will be about. The different valuations and my personal thoughts since I've taken both and passed both evaluations. Um, but the evaluation process, especially for Apex, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Upside is it's a lot cheaper. Upside is it's a lot easier. So if you're looking for cheap and easy in the evaluation process, um, go with Apex. Apex is super cheap and you can get done, in a day. And then when you look at Take Profit Trader, with them, you know, you got to trade for at least 5 days, at least, at least 5 days. You got to trade for it at least 5 days. Um, it's more expensive, and I'm comparing 150K accounts of each. It's more expensive on their side. The targets are the same. Um, the rules are a little bit heavier over there, whereas Apex is not really rules except for the trail. You can literally take one trade and you know use all your contracts, and if it happens to be a great trade and run up to 9 grand, kudos to you. You've passed. In that day, you're in a funded account. Um, Whereas, you know, with Take Profit Trader, your biggest trade can be more than 50%, of the account. So you can't run it up one day and then just take small trades, therefore after just to, reach the 5 days. You're going to have to keep going. Um, and what'll happen is it'll make you have to reach more. So, you know what I mean? So if you make a trading day 5 grand, now you're gonna have to get 10 grand. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna bump it up that much more, and that's what you're gonna have to get. Um, if you had a crazy day and it took a lot of money, you made a lot of money in that day. So it has more rules and regulations. And that's, that can be tough for some people. But I also think that, you know, that process is a little bit better because it kind of weeds out who can trade and who can't. Um, Apex doesn't do that. It's like get you a funded account, um, and it's easy. So they want to keep you in the process. I personally feel like it's not about getting you to funded accounts. It's about keeping you in the process. You get funded, you paying the fee, and then a couple days you've failed, right? Because you're not going to be able to trade um, the way you trade the evaluation in their funded account, right? It's like a switch. I feel like, Take Profit Trader in a funded account, the rules get easier, whereas Apex, the rules go from super, super easy to now harder, right? Once you get to a funded account. And so, based on that, I feel like if you can pass Take Profit Trader, it's going to show you a real synopsis of if you can be, a true trader. I don't think Apex gives you that. I feel like you can just get lucky on Apex, have a great day or have a great 2 days. Boom, you got an account. You in there like swimwear. And now you're going to have to be real strict because you don't have to do no real rules in Apex. Going to Take Profit Trader, you definitely going to have to implement your rules. You're going to have to create a structure. You're going to have to create a plan, which you should already, but meaning it's going to be tight. It's, and for me, I actually have to be tighter. I had to be tighter when I did Take Profit Trader, which I actually went live every day until I got the account. It took me 9 days to reach the 9 grand. And so you can look at my videos and I have it listed from my days. So it's definitely harder, but I think it's a sentiment of if you can do it, then you can make it in the funded account as well too, because it's not like the rules get strenuously harder um, when you pass take profit trader. And then Apex, like I said, it's the opposite, because once you fund it, you got to trade for like 8 days. 5 out of 8 days, you got to make at least 300, 500, 350. Um, I got to go back and look, but you have to be profitable 5 out of the 8 days. And, you can't make a certain amount over it gets real sticky. So this is when people be like, yo, I got all this money in Apex and I haven't been able to get a payout because, once again, maybe one day, you know, news driven, and you made, for instance, you made 15 grand, but typically you average $1,000 a day. It's going to take you forever to get that under 30%, right? By trading. Now you can consistently trade and get it there, but you can literally trade 20 days in a row, because we typically go back and forth, right? And you're trying to now pretty much get that under the 30%. So you're gonna have to make about 45 grand just to be able to take out a payment. Because on top of that 15, you're gonna have to make 30 grand before you can take out a payment. And that's crazy, right? So it's not about, oh yeah, well, yep, I traded 8 days and I made at least 500 out of those five out of the 8 days. So this next evaluation cycle, I should be able to take it out. No, they're not going to let you take out any money. And so that's one of the rule changes of Apex. And I think probably because they was giving out so much money, people were making so much money that they made it so strict on their funded accounts. So now that it's just not worth it anymore. To me personally, I personally would not do Apex until their funded accounts, rules are changed. If they change their rules, then, I would do like another evaluation. But like how you have those multiple evaluations, and pass them. And then, I did that with Apex. And I'm one of those too, that I got caught up in news, and I was on NASDAQ, and it was the day that it was a bunch of news driven, Trump talking, stuff like that. And that was the day, I think it was like 800 points in that day. And I messed around and didn't get out of the trade and took about 450 points. Ridiculous. And I literally traded about 25 days straight. 25 days straight, didn't have a bad day, and you still couldn't take out a payment until you got that that one trading day, down. So to me, it's not about that process, right? It's like, nah, you want until you get that to where your account where that's under 30%, you're not going to be able to take out. So if you're depending on this money and you do that with Apex, you're just going to be kind of either you're going to start eventually gambling or in no man's land, or you're just going to slow roll it. And then you're going to get another account and then, just kind of trade both of them until eventually you're able to take it out. But, once again, if you do that and make that big type of money, it could be a couple months, that you could take out, and you're consistent, right? So you see that and you're steady making money. So that's one of the drawdowns of, Apex. There was a time Apex was probably the leading competitor, but now they're kind of getting down to the bottom. They came on the scene hard. And I think what they did, they just, like a lot of them do, they come on and have it super, super cheap and do all of these things. And then now they start to change the rules after they start getting, customers to come over and want to trade. And who knows, others will probably switch up. I know Top Step's been around for a while. And they've stayed pretty consistent in their rules and regulations and how they do things. So Top Step is, pretty consistent in what they do. But yeah, Apex is cheap. So if you want a cheap account, go ahead to Apex. But be extremely careful once you pass the eval. Eval is super simple. Yeah, I mean, you can pass it in a day. And I mean, like, if you really want to, if you want to basically gamble and say, you know what, I'm going in on a trade, I'm going in, with 10 lots and 10 contracts, and see if you can just scale out. Maybe you trade NQ, especially like an NQ, and you mess around and scale out, get 100 port winner, which is, on a good day, that's easy on NQ, and you're done. So Apex, you can't do that. I mean, Take Profit Trader, you can't do that. So you have to be, cut your trades and make sure you don't run it up, because you don't want to push up the total that you would have to get. So if you want to follow me, man, and I'll be trading, and I trade on my accounts live, especially, and I usually take them off, daily between 8:30 and 11. So hopefully this helped you guys out. My recommendation at the moment is Take Profit Trader. And maybe that could change, because before it was Apex, and Apex, their rules weren't like this. Apex, all you had to do was have the money. And if you had the money, on the 1st and 15th, you could take out a payment, right? So you didn't have to trade 5 days, make this amount of money, and for 8 straight days, and then basically request a payment, and then they evaluate your account. No, if 1st and 15th, if you had, say, 10 grand in the account, you wanted to take out the 2 grand, hey, you could request it. It didn't matter how you did, long as you was above your threshold. That's how it used to be, which was great. And I guess they gave out way too much money and said, no, we're not doing that anymore. So hey, man, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, man. And we're going to consistently give you content, and hopefully it helps you guys become better traders. That's not, dependent on your P&L. It's all about consistency. One thing I know, if you're consistent and you got a game plan, eventually the P&L is going to come. So I wouldn't even pay attention to it. All right, guys, take it easy. Peace.